Hi, guys.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Stewart Chronicles podcast. I'm your girl, Olivia.
And I'm your boy, Ribu.
Ribu. We have a quick, short and quick episode today.
Yeah.
We're just going to get into it. I hope you're doing well. Let's get into it. What, you want to do sports update first, or do you want me to do Senora vibes?
You know, I think I'll do a sports update.
Okay, go ahead.
I had a really good week in
I
daily.
have to interrupt you. You have a crumb on your left.
Were you waiting
on
till
your
the
left
episode?
beard.
Were
My
you
bad.
waiting till this started?
I just noticed.
Guys,
Just a small crumb.
It's
on that gruffy old beard.
you know, I decided to get a sausage.
No, now you moved it, babe. You got lint.
Where is it
on
at?
Right here.
It's lint.
It's like lint crumb combo. There we
You
go.
know, I
there we
decided to go different today. I usually get a bacon Gouda sandwich from Starbucks and sometimes mess around with the egg bites. But today I went with the sausage.
go. Egg and cheese.
Egg and cheese.
Full on.
And it just hit.
Have you seen on
Just hit.
like New York, which I want to go to, which we'll talk about maybe later,
Yeah.
the bagel culture?
The
Bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup.
what is it called though? The Waki?
The Aki way.
Aki way.
Which is like the, they're, I don't know, they're like Middle Eastern.
Oh, they're Middle Eastern?
Yeah, like the people who own the bagel thing.
Was that a bagel spot?
Yeah, I think this is separate. I think that's more of a sandwich thing. Or is it bagel? The Aki way.
Aki way.
Yeah.
Is that Jersey?
I don't know. I'm sure in
Did you watch Jersey Shore?
Sure did. Sure did.
Wasn't
that was
it
in
like-
college. Circa, what, 2009?
What, like, why didn't they, like, they made it big for a minute, but the only one that really made it out was Pauly D, right?
Yeah, he's a DJ now.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're all doing pretty well. I think they have a reunion or whatever.
Oh, they do?
Speaking of reunion, can we go to
girl. You've been on this for
the
like a
NSYNC?
whole week.
So, John, have you seen NSYNC on
Making a
TikTok?
comeback?
They're all over my TikTok. I think they started with the VMAs.
Yeah.
They presented together.
Ooh.
And then Lance Bass, a member of NSYNC,
Yeah.
is very big on TikTok.
Yeah.
And he keeps teasing that they're maybe going back
That's
on
crazy.
tour. And my, 8-year-old self,
You've been on it this week.
10-year-old self.
Tell them the breakdown you have of each one.
Oh, it's so
Joey
interesting.
Fatone. Bang, bang, bang.
So yeah,
Just
it
hits
started.
his-
I
hits his-
saw a TikTok of them describing how NSYNC is so special because of their sound, because of Chris Fitzpatrick or Kirkpatrick.
Yeah. Chris Fatone.
The one with the very like kind of gothy,
Yeah.
you know, the
Like
dreads.
he's the
or whatever.
short one you forget about.
You forget about
You forget
him,
about all of them.
but he's super important
Yeah.
because he's like a second tenor, meaning he has a really high voice. And so
We're very similar in that.
you could never get that high.
Okay.
But that's what makes them unique, because they have this like really unique sound.
Yeah.
Which I should pull it up, but I don't know if I saved it. Now you can't unhear that. Really
What song was it in that you
high-pitched-
said?
It's in all of them because he harmonizes.
Well, you did the other day. You sang.
I know. I don't.
What song was it?
I don't remember.
Oh, man.
But it's one where JC Chazé, which is one of the lead
It's
vocalists.
not Chavez?
No, baby.
Oh. I think JC Chavez.
No, where he harmonizes with him, and it's like this really pretty sound. Anyways, that's coming up. It has to be.
Wait, the coming up meaning
the tour, and
it's been announced?
No, it hasn't. But I want to freaking go.
So, like, what was the point of having? So we know what Chris's role was in NSYNC.
Yeah.
What's the point of Joey and Lance?
So Lance
What
is
did they contribute to
a
it?
bass, really deep, low voice.
Lance?
Yeah,
the
I
one
think
that's
so. Yeah,
homosexual?
yeah.
I don't think go that low.
Yeah. Ribu. And then Joey is, I don't know all the terms for it, but they all play a significant role. And honey, they've been posting clips of like them back in the 90s doing like TRL on the Today Show, like live performances, all their concerts. Joey Honey came to pay those bills. The way he was pop,
Yeah,
like
you showed
the
me a
energy of him dancing, he was a 5, 6, 7, 8. He was going off, man. Like he had, and the amount of energy they have to be bopping around the stage, jumping everywhere, and singing live.
I think
so impressive.
To me, I felt like Joey knew he had to contribute something to the group.
Yeah.
Like he's talented, but he's like, my voice is not as talented.
He's like, I'm going to be the Energizer Bunny. You're going to catch me bringing it every time.
Like you showed me a video of him like going and I was like, what?
Like he went.
He popped, locked and dropped.
And all the comments are like up. People our age being like, I didn't know. Like when we were there, I didn't know what I know now. And Joey is that season.
I always thought JC was the one that should have been Justin.
Yeah.
Like Justin's talented, but I'm like, I always thought JC was like the better looking.
Yeah, I agree.
And like,
I'm team JC.
Yeah. What was his song?
Separate from NSYNC. I think it's a great freaking song. Yeah. Blowing Me Up.
Yeah, like that's
me up with her.
Yeah. Like that song. Why didn't he make it?
I don't know.
There's some controversy.
Oh, so the link is that Chris started the band. A shady manager was like, "Hey, you have a crazy voice. Let's make a band around you." Yeah. So Chris knew Justin. Justin was like, I got a boy, JC. We were in the Mickey Mouse Club together with
JC was?
Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Ryan Gosling.
They were all in the Mickey Mouse Club? All four of them?
Yeah. Somebody else.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
I put them in there, in that era.
Making the stallion.
So, and then Chris was like, my boy Joey, I know, my boy Joe. And then Justin was like, I know a guy who's in the closet. No, I'm just kidding. But I know somebody with a deep ass voice, and his name is Lance Bass, and that's how they all formed.
Lance, is his real name Lance Bass?
Yeah,
like bass.
Yeah,
isn't it? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So little fun fact about that. But the minute they dropped that tour, I wanted to go to Beyonce so bad, but I would love to go to this tour.
NSYNC,
that would be with every other millennial person.
Why weren't we as big on Backstreet Boys as everyone was on NSYNC?
I don't know. They really didn't do it for me for some reason as much as NSYNC.
There was never like a Justin Timberlake for Backstreet Boys.
I agree. Yeah, they weren't stars, and their vocals I feel were not as strong.
Really?
Yeah,
but I feel like how you said there's that short guy on NSYNC, Chris.
Yeah.
There's also a version of that in Backstreet.
Yeah, they're all talented, but I don't know. And they just weren't as cute. Like JC and Justin Timberlake were so cute.
What was the brother? I remember Nick Carter. Isn't he on Backstreet Boys?
Yeah.
What was remember 98 Degrees?
Yeah.
Joey,
it was the age of the boy bands.
Yeah. Well, Jessica Simpson's old husband.
Yeah. What's his name?
Yeah.
Nick Lachey, thank you, John.
John? Still listening to that. Yeah. He's like, finally,
John,
I'll talk about this.
were you an NSYNC fan?
Yeah, he was.
But
John just got earrings. I just found out John had earrings. So he's going back to his 90s band days.
But anyways, and that was the boy band era. And I miss it. I feel like we should bring it back. And I feel like they're maybe going to. They were NSYNC was just on Hot Ones, where they eat the hot wings.
They all were on there together?
They were all on it together.
JC and Justin?
Justin's back, baby.
What? But why are they coming back now?
But they're cooking
Something's
up something.
Going on.
They're cooking up
the
something.
whole Jessica Biel, Justin
and I'm
Timberlake.
ready. And I am ready. So
have you watched the Hot Ones?
I just saw clips on TikTok. Yeah, that's they're funny. Yeah. So, anyways, I don't know where we were going with that. But let's get into it. Oh, sports update.
DraftKings went. What was right? That's what I'm talking about. DraftKings went. I had a good first week of fantasy football. DraftKings, I did really good. Second week didn't go as well. And so we're looking to make some changes this week. That's in the personal sports update. Other than that, football season is good. Cowboys are 2-0. What can I say?
Oh, did we talk about, was that last week? Colorado college football with Deion Sanders and his whole family. We love to see it. I love him. We love to see it.
Let's be real here, guys.
The passion he has for the game.
You had no clue what was going on.
Did you know that he really transformed HBCU football?
Okay.
Yeah,
you
just
had
so
no
impressive.
clue about Colorado time. Made you stay up till 1 o'clock to watch the game
It was a good game
last week. But
his son is
Shador,
Yeah.
and Shiloh.
his son, the quarterback,
Yeah.
Shador. I feel, and I know nothing about football, but we
Yeah.
were watching that game and he was killing it, right? And he is so patient.
Yeah.
And he was like so calm,
Cool,
collected, and like
Yeah.
just like his daddy.
For one person to turn a whole program around in a span of like less than a year is crazy. Like Colorado, I think won one game last year and has never really achieved much. I think like 2016 was their their best year.
Yeah.
And the amount of hype and money he's brought to the city and to the school just in less than a year is crazy. So they play Oregon today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the crazy part about that is they're like 20-point underdogs or something.
Colorado?
And the coach, not that he's talking shit, but he said some stuff already.
Didn't the other coach talk shit last time?
Yeah.
What is that, Colorado State?
Colorado State.
Why is everybody talking shit? Like, who would dare talk shit to him?
I think it's one of those things like Deion.
They're threatened.
They'll threaten. You can't just appreciate the hype.
Yeah, like respect it, appreciate it.
Yeah, like what's wrong with it?
When one wins, we all win ultimately.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because there's more money coming to the table too.
And to Colorado.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? It was a great game.
So that was good. Sports update. Deion Sanders doing his thing. Cowboys 2-0 right now. We play Cardinals this week, which we should go through. We should blow them the hell out.
We'll see.
3-0. Yeah, I would say we're doing pretty good. Are you a Cowboys fan? Yeah, that's right, baby.
They better do well.
Yeah, and so
shout out to my alma mater, Texas State.
That's 3
Go
weeks
Bobcats.
ago they won.
I know, but I just wanted to say that they're doing very well.
How are they doing well?
I actually don't know how they're doing.
They're 1-1 right now.
I know
2-1.
They're turning around that program like Deion Sanders with a new coach.
No, it's not that crazy. It's not that big. It's not even nearly that big.
Well,
Texas State had like the third most transfers this year. I think a lot of it's because of NIL.
Yeah, I think.
What does NIL stand for?
National
Institute
Interchange
for Lesbians. Name, image, and likeness.
Right, that's right. I think that's great that they're finally getting compensated.
Did you guys know Olivia played water polo in high school? And she was a star water polo player? That's right. Tell us a little more about your career.
I don't think I could literally swim right now, but yeah.
But
I used to get it.
You were really good at water polo.
I was. I really enjoyed it.
Why don't you want to talk about it? You seem like a...
Just because I want to keep going. We said this would be short and sweet episode.
Shuttered part of your life here.
No, it was fun. I loved water polo. And I just found something that I was good at. And I really liked it.
Yeah.
Swimming, not so much.
And
like
volleyball. She's picking up volleyball again.
Yeah, so we've been playing with Judy in the backyard because this boy has so much damn energy that we're like, all right, let's go outside for the 5th time.
Yeah.
And we went to Target last weekend and we were like, let's just get like things. So we got bubbles, we got a basketball, we got a soccer ball, and then we got a volleyball. Yeah. And then I wanted to get eventually like pickleball stuff. But we got a volleyball and we started playing and I played volleyball in middle school and like throughout, just, like here and there. So fun. But Ribu, quick story. I promise we will move on. So in PT school, you have what's called PT Olympics, right?
This is fun.
And every PT school in Texas
comes
down, congregates to San Antonio, or I think it changes every year. But that time, everybody came down to San Antonio, and there's 2 PT schools in San Antonio, our school and another school. And then there's probably,
Swoop Peck.
And then there's probably like 10 other schools that came down and you have PT Olympics. I don't know why.
I don't know. Our first year we were like, what? And
what is this?
We were so competitive.
So it kicks off with a pool tournament. Billiards?
Yeah. Talk about Deion Sanders coming to UIW. That's like me coming to UIW. Me and my class.
Right.
Our class.
Killed it.
We killed it.
Sharks, if you will. So you kick it off and then you do billiards. And then the next day is like basketball, volleyball, tug of war. You know what? I think they had a water polo, but the inner tube water polo. And I was like, no, fuck that. And then
Liv only plays
some other games. I don't know, at this big complex, right?
Jeremy kicked it off with his billiards. Baseball.
No?
Soccer. Slow pitch. Jeremy Schultz kicked it off with a great billiards performance.
He killed it.
He killed it every year.
Little Jer Bear. So anyways, so I took this out. It's an opportunity, especially what we were like 24, 25. I was like, this is the weekend that I'm going to get drunk.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
So we came to the, rec center thing with like a backpack full of alcohol.
All our teachers will show up
because it's like a whole day thing. So I wasn't playing anything, but I was there to support and get drunk. And I remember we were watching soccer and this guy who we literally probably should not talk about anymore.
We should talk about him.
He came.
We had a killer at our school.
No, I don't want to talk about that. He came out with a lawn chair
and some guns,
a ice chest. Took his shirt off. He was tanning, and I said, "You know what? I'm down for that vibe." So, anyways, sand volleyball is about to take place, and Ribu and I are already dating. So I'm like, I gotta go support my boy.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't know about what these genetics,
co-ed.
Other than the cancer genetics. They don't know about these athletic genetics.
It was co-ed, no?
Co-ed, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right.
It was me, Toby Daniel, Tori, Shannon
who played
White,
volleyball in college. Like a stacked team, stacked, phenomenal. Everybody was very competitive. Everybody knew what we had to do, what had to be done.
Diverse team.
Okay. So I'm like, all right. Cause Rib's like, yeah, I play volleyball, like whatever. And I had never seen him play volleyball. Right. So we start, they kick it off, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Somebody, Tori sets a beautiful pass ball to you. This mother effer jumps the highest I've ever seen him jump and spikes the shit out of the ball. And everybody was like, what the? And everyone's like, we had no idea.
I mean, that's even, you come to a Martha tournament, you got some good guys there. I'm a little lower on the scale, but you put me in a group of white people.
I mean, the hops this boy had, I mean, I could not get over it. He was just leaping everywhere, jumping, diving.
We made it all the way to the final. Like we were literally like a low seed.
Yeah.
And we made it all the way to the finals.
It was a good team. I think Brady played, now that I think about it.
Yeah, Brady played. We had a good team.
Yeah. I was so impressed. I was like, I had no idea.
Toby was really good.
Toby's good. So anyways, that was the first time I was like, well, okay. And he also played basketball with
basketball was so much fun. Yeah.
And Chris
killed it. Jobin killed it. Oh, and then our teacher, I'm not gonna say his name because he, doesn't deserve it, but our teacher was, not that it was good, he was just crazy in the head. Like it's students versus students. You can have a teacher play. Our teacher would get in fights with the students. One time he picked up a kid and just slammed him on the floor, and we had to break it apart.
Yeah. It was hardcore.
We went all the way to the finals in basketball too, but that ref was whack.
Yeah, he was whack.
We lost.
That was the first time I saw you play basketball too, and I was like,
"Well,
goddamn!" I was like, "Why didn't you tell me you were so athletic?"
And we killed it in basketball too. We did so good.
Yeah, I was so surprised. So, anyways, back to the volleyball here. We've been playing volleyball,
getting our game back
with Judy in the backyard. Like Julian literally just walks around the backyard while we play volleyball.
He's doing something.
He literally does
something. You okay over there? All right.
Yeah, I'm like no mouth with a rock or something, and then he's like fine, and then he'll come and he's
in his own world.
Check in, but then he's like watching
the leaves in the wind.
Yeah, he just walks around.
I mean, you're having a competition out there.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's been fun. So, sports update: Senora vibes are immaculate per usual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
what you been doing?
Well, I changed, not Good Morning America Today Show. I tried something a little different.
What channel is that on?
I don't know. I get them all confused, but I think I like the Today Show a little bit more. It's a little more modern. I think Al Roker,
they're still on
Hoda, and Jenna, George Bush's daughter, Jenna.
Jenna Bush?
Yeah. She has her own show with
what?
Hoda? Shoot, I feel like I'm messing this up.
Who? Hose?
Hoda. And so I've been liking that more. Coffee's immaculate in the morning. It's been cooler.
So
we've been going outside. So that's been nice, but it's still hot as hell.
Yeah.
Today, so it's just been hot. But the Senora vibes are popping off per usual. I can't wait till it gets colder and we can do a cozy Senora vibes.
Pumpkin spice.
Yes.
Days.
What's your coffee? That reminds me. Let's read.
Oh yeah.
Last episode.
Got some coffee. We got some coffee recommendations from people from the last episode. If you haven't, comment on the last episode too and put your
coffee order.
Put your coffee order on there.
So Michelle Menchaca, hey Michelle, her
we know what you get, girl.
Girl, you gotta tell us. You get that vanilla ribbon crunch with whip and caramel drizzle.
Extra.
Dang, girl.
The extra charge.
Is there coffee in there?
Venti for sure.
Hell yeah. And then Val says, she leaves the sweetest comments.
Really
absolutely love you guys. I'm not much of a Starbucks girly, but when I go, I'll get a tall caramel frap, which is a classic.
I have a person who just gets an iced latte. No sweetener, nothing. Just iced
latte. Really?
Nothing else in it.
No sweet. So just like.
Just cream and what, espresso?
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Today I have a pumpkin cream cold brew. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
John. I got a so I'm on. Did I talk about this last time? Americanos?
You did. We know.
Okay. So I'm on to Americanos. I should make an Indiano. I'm on to Americanos. What did I get? I got 1 point.
John, why is my husband like that? An Indiano?
Why don't they have like different nationalities for this?
I don't know, baby.
That's a good question. American racism, right? So I usually just get Americano with pumpkin cream cold foam because I'm in my pumpkin season.
Yeah.
Today I mixed it up though.
What'd you get?
I got a grande Americano. I never get grande. I usually get tall.
3 shots, no?
That's 3. I went from none to 3, 0 to 100 real quick. I never used to drink coffee.
But you feel great with coffee now.
I feel like I'm productive.
Yeah.
So if I don't want to be productive, I don't drink coffee. I got cinnamon cream cold foam, which is a recommendation. You want to try it?
Yeah.
And I tried 1 pump of sugar-free vanilla today.
Okay. With cinnamon powder?
With cinnamon powder. Like extra cinnamon on top. Is it bad?
Ribu, that's just nasty.
Really?
I feel like it would have probably been good with at the top.
I liked it.
Dang, that's more coffee than mine. That tastes like killer coffee.
I'm
a connoisseur.
I'm more a connoisseur now.
Yeah.
I went from drinking.
Do you ever think you'll take your coffee black?
I like all races. Okay.
I
think I'm going that way.
Just get like a tall black coffee.
Yeah. I think I can. I like the taste of espresso. So maybe just that's not. I mean, just a shot of espresso probably.
Yeah. Oof, that's so bitter.
But I'm sure there are smooth espressos, right? They're not as bitter.
Yeah, I'm sure, but it's just so strong. It's so concentrated.
Yeah.
But like if you just get a normal cup of coffee, which is not as strong, maybe you don't put stuff in it.
Yeah.
I could never.
To be honest with you, like I
think something's wrong with you if you're drinking black coffee. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it's like we get it, you're serious.
That's like wearing black Air Force Ones. You just have that kind of energy. You know what I mean? You just have that like
same thing.
Deliberate anger.
The same
at all times.
Talk about an ick.
Talk about an ick. For sure. I think let me give you my take on me drinking coffee, starting to drink coffee.
Okay.
Guys, I just started to drink coffee probably a month ago. Or a month or 2 ago. Yeah. Like really, like daily.
Yeah.
This is the first month in my life where I drink coffee probably every day. I never drink coffee.
Yeah.
And I'm scared to continue.
To continue drinking it?
Yeah. Because I like the feeling I get when I drink coffee. Like the productivity and like the focus. But then if I keep drinking it, I'm going to get so used to it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you're so sensitive anyway. So I think you could.
Excuse me?
I feel like you could just take a couple of days off and then get right back on that
I think
course.
so too.
John, do you get affected by coffee? Caffeine? You do? Oh, my bad. Well, I recall. No wonder.
No wonder this man's
John,
energy.
You're such a liar.
Yeah.
You're
this guy
such a liar.
drinking pumpkin spice latte right now.
Cold brew. Yeah. You said it's delicious.
Yeah. Pumpkin spice latte. Extra spice.
I should have looked over when I was talking shit about the black coffee. My bad.
His face, you know that Arthur thing where his fist is like this? He's like,
why are you talking about us?
I'm talking about my coffee.
But like, well, okay. I don't want to get into why you like it, John.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. You know what I mean? Like why?
Where did your life go wrong?
Why? When did you start drinking black coffee? Yeah. He's like, when I was the ripe age of 12.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Anywho.
That's our orders.
Yeah, so let's get into peaks and pits.
Yeah.
So much for a short episode, but let's get into it. So my peak, you want to go first or you want me to go first? Okay, so my peak is, I'm writing it down. I had to look. So I've been working with a lot of brands lately. This is work related. And this brand I had done UGC for. You know what UGC is?
User generated content.
User generated content. So sometimes they use a content creator such as myself to make content for their TikTok, for their Instagram, for their website where I don't post it or I don't have to use it on my personal sites or whatever. So they're using Dr. Olivia, her approval, her advice, her tips on their pages.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a different rate that you charge for UGC content. But I did it for them. I shot 2 videos for them a couple of months ago. John, I remember, helped me for that one. And they just emailed Kat, my manager, for some more.
Girl.
Yeah. And because the ones that I did for them previously popped off on their social channels. Mm-hmm. They did really, really well.
Yeah, those videos turned out really good.
They got a lot, like the most engagement their page has had. Yeah. So they, of course, were like, hey, can you do that again? We'll send you whatever you want. And then initially when I first got hired by them, they had a lot of parameters. They wanted approval. Yeah. They wanted me to write a script and send it to them for approval before I even shoot stuff. And so this one, they were like, do whatever, like basically replicate the same thing you did, because it was helping them grow. So that was my peak. I thought it was like,
that's really good.
And it's a little less pressure too, because it's for them. So it's shot in a little bit different way. It's a little bit more generic, and not a bad way, but generalized, because they're going to use it. They pay for usage rights.
It's like a whole crazy space you're getting into, which is like very unique in terms of how you're accomplishing it. Like no one, you know what's crazy is like no one in the baby space on social media is doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people are, but I'm not. Ooh. I don't know.
Come across anybody in 3 years?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure, but
you have to be too humble about it. No one's doing it.
Well, I feel like the people's goals are different. Like there's a ton of pediatric physical therapists, but I feel like their goals are always to be either if they're going to monetize in some way, they're selling courses, they're selling
they're stuck on being a physical therapist.
Yeah. So my whole goal when I kind of started making money and getting a lot of traction was like, I think I just want it to be, I enjoy the production of making content versus giving physical therapy tips, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like I enjoy creating content that every parent resonates with, but my goal has never been, which I think a lot of other pediatric PT accounts is, I never want them to feel like I'm showing them how to be a pediatric physical therapist. Yeah. I want it to be practical tips for their life, integrated in their life, like product recommendations. If you are going to use a seat or a high chair, here's what I want you to pay attention to, things like that, versus like a lot of the other ones are so good at relaying or like conveying how to get your baby to crawl. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's just a different, and so they're never going to work. Their goals are probably not to work with brands.
I think they are.
No, I don't think some.
Why did some of them we saw on brands' pages now? Yeah,
but I feel like some just want to sell like their masterclass, or they have a clinic already.
So. I don't think so.
Like there's a big one, a huge one in Dallas, but she has a brick and mortar clinic, and she's using social media to convert patients.
So some of them do, I'm sure, but majority of them that are on social media that are big, for sure, are trying to get it bigger somehow. They're trying to get brand deals. I mean, the one you mentioned too, that's already on, another brand. They're trying to get them. I don't think they understand that advertising as a physical therapist doesn't get you there. Like for you at this point, you really don't have to tell people you're a physical therapist. You can just,
I think it's more broader if you just say, developmental expert there. Yeah. And also because a lot of these brands don't know who to look for. So if you make yourself more general, it actually helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just been like really interesting to know. And then what's also interesting is like these brands, you know, pay a lot because you are specialized.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not just some mom blogger talking about how I like this baby carrier. I have actual like evidence-based tips to provide every mom or every parent on like how to use it, what to look out for. I think the goal or like the niche within that is, can you deliver it in an entertaining way where people will actually watch it? Is it savable, shareable, all that stuff?
And I think too, like to be good at this space, you have to be watching everyone, not just your type of content.
Yeah.
But what's really going viral outside of what your norm is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then that will attract people to your video too.
Yeah. I think I talked about this a long time ago in the podcast. I really don't follow any other pediatric PT accounts because that's not what I'm trying to do. Like and a lot of them are like so good, but that's not what I'm trying to do. So I try and get inspiration from like a lot of fashion people because their edits are good. Yeah. And like when your edits are good, people watch it and like music stuff, sneakerhead content. Yeah. So, like just anything really funny stuff. John showed me one, who I don't even know what he does, whose hooks are really good and like hooking it in the first 3 seconds, like, you know, all that stuff is just kind of my own research of building my own brand. And so it's been really fun. And it's been so validating to have these brands reach back out for more.
Yeah, for more content.
Yeah. And then of course you can charge them more. Yeah. It's like, I gave you that base thing. Like
the rate just went up.
The rate just went up. My manager's been really good at that. She's like, okay, we'll get you more, but that rate's going up, baby.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my peak. What's yours?
My peak and my pit kind of flow into each other. So I'm going to do both. Okay. So my pit has been, so we kind of left off last time. I think my liver was playing the lives was doing a little roll. Funny thing about my liver is like when I was younger, I had this lab result come back. So there's this enzyme called bilirubin, and I don't know what it does. I used to
shout out Ruben.
Shout out Ruben. This enzyme called bilirubin when I was younger. It came up, and so I went to the doctor, and he diagnosed me with Gilbert's syndrome. Yeah, literally means nothing. It literally just means that
you're high bilirubin,
but like barely.
Yeah.
And it was just always there. And so now that I'm taking chemo, my liver enzymes are going up, and it's not bilirubin going up. That's back down to normal.
Yeah. That's been better than ever.
Who's Gilbert? Who's Gilbert at this point? So the bilirubin went down, but there's these two enzymes called AST, ALT. And doctors, you comment on this to tell me what those stand for. But those have been extremely high. So like I had my infusion. I got labs the next week, and I think normal range is like in the less than 40. Yeah. I was in like the 300s. Yeah.
Hella high.
I was aiming for high marks.
Girl, she was out.
I thought the higher the better. Yeah. I was like, y'all are your normal range. I'm a little higher than you. Loser. And so I was like in the 400s. And so, so the thought was like, is it the chemo or is it, the pills I'm taking?
Right.
So the pit is that it is the chemo and not this targeted drug we talked about last time.
Lorbrena.
But I'm telling you guys, healthcare is rough. Like sometimes the healthcare industry doesn't listen to you. And so my pit is just the healthcare industry not listening to me. Yeah. And it goes into my peak, which is my brother. Yeah. So my brother, if you guys are not getting appointments under Ruben Thomas, you guys in Dallas, in Sunnyvale, you guys all need to book. Literally, you guys all need to book with him.
This guy's a genius when it comes to for sure, 100%. But he is the one you want to go to if you want to have knowledge and empathy combined in a visit, which we have never thought about until we've had neither in a visit where they've been an asshole and they don't know what they're talking about. So Ruben is like, and you would think this is common, but based on the thousands of doctors we've seen, Ruben is a rarity, is a unicorn, is unique, is so fucking smart, and is so freaking patient, and is so kind. I can only imagine being his patient.
Yeah, I know. And I don't, like, so in this particular, I'll talk about this particular situation and what's been happening since I got diagnosed. So in this situation, it's obvious that the infusion is what's causing my liver enzymes to go high.
Pemetrexid.
Right. And so we were trying to push with my doctors to get labs every week and to really find out, which medication is it?
Right.
Because it could be the pill I take every day, which is the specialized one versus the infusion.
targeted one. Right.
And so turns out I kept taking the oral medication, and each week my liver enzymes would go down.
Right.
But my doctors would not pay attention to the lab results. Every time I would get on a meeting every week, these past weeks since the last episode, they kept saying it was the oral medication. But I kept saying I'm still taking it, but my liver enzymes are going down. Anyways, my brother plays a role in this because he's talking to the doctors as well and gets them to understand that it's not the oral one, it's the infusion.
Right. Which is probably so freaking frustrating.
Yeah. And so it's like him telling them repeatedly, why didn't you look at these results?
Yeah.
Like it's different coming from doctor to doctor.
Like he's essentially he's checking.
He was able to diagnose quickly the day after that it was the infusion and not the pill, compared to these other healthcare providers who are oncologists.
Right.
Who are supposed to be keeping up with my charts.
Yeah. They're just not keeping up. Because I can't believe they just purely don't know. I think it's because they're not keeping up with you. Yeah.
And my brother, fighting for me and for the situation. But this has been it from the beginning, right? Like in the beginning, when I August 1st of last year, I was on an appointment. I'm gonna call her out, Dr. Thungadu. I do not recommend her at all.
She's cash based on Instagram.
I couldn't find a physician to go to in time. Once I started noticing something was going wrong.
Yeah, this is when we thought it was like just Graves' disease.
And Dr. Thungadu was the only person who was available, and she's an online practitioner that said she comes to advertise that she comes to San Antonio once a year, whatever. And
whack.
And so when I got on my first call with her, she diagnosed me with Graves' disease online, and
via Zoom.
And I remember my brother asking, like, we should get these scans. Like, keep pushing for it. And she's like, no, it's not. Like, it's this. So she treated me one way for a couple months, which probably made my cancer worse.
Yeah.
And she repeatedly did not want me to get scans. No. And we didn't know at the time. We didn't think it was cancer.
Yeah.
And the chances of having Graves and cancer are very low, but she never took the chances to see what it was. And so,
Ruben's just been there
like
the whole time,
telling her nonstop, like, this is what you need. And then we went to the next doctor and he was telling her, no, like, why aren't we doing these things? Looking back at it, he's been right every time. Single time on everything on what to do. So
yeah. And he's not an endocrinologist and not an oncologist. Yeah. But that's how much he knows even outside of his general what he practices. But I think it's one thing that he probably took the time because he loves you and he's your brother, of course, and looked through all resources and educated himself and told them to check themselves,
Yeah, like some of these doctors, when you get diagnosed, we talked about it on previous episodes, don't even call you to let you know.
Yeah, we found out you had cancer on my chart.
Or like I've had doctors so far that are like, just go get the surgery.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
I'll book the surgery.
Like, what do you mean? Like, tell me more. What's going on? Like, just get the surgery. That's the only way we can find out. I'm like, where's the empathy here? Like,
right.
And so like, obviously my brother Ruben being my brother, that empathy is there naturally, but just as a physician, you could tell it's there, like the way he operates in his clinic and the way
he's very sharp.
Like people talk about him, like if you're not, like it's rare to find a really good doctor, and my brother's one of those.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I thought it was funny because this past week, y'all had a Zoom visit with a certain doctor, you and Ruben, which I think Ruben probably was like, I'm going to get on this Zoom call. Yeah. I'm going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Like, I'm going to be there. Yeah. Don't you worry about me, honey.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of, I don't think anything was unprofessional or what, but like called a spade and said to the doctor, like, what the fuck are you doing? It's so, I can only imagine. It's just it's frustrating for me, but I can just only imagine how frustrating it is when you're a physician and you're like, well, damn, this physician is doing it like this, or like is practicing in such a way
for more specificity.
Yeah.
For
specifically.
What did I say?
Specificity.
Yeah, I can never say specifically. Yeah,
more specifically,
like this doctor who for a couple weeks we've been telling is not the infusion, got on this call and acted like she was like, wait, what's going on here? Like we've been talking every day.
Yeah.
And she gets on the call and it's kind of like looking at my chart again for the first time. It's like, what's your history again? And I'm like, bitch.
It's so frustrating.
Like, why do I gotta go through? We've talked literally 4 times this week, and you don't even remember who I am.
Not only that, within those, you've been talking those 4 times throughout the week. She has told you major changes that you need to implement. Yeah. That I'm like, you don't remember saying to do this X, Y, and
like
Z.
She told me to. She texted me saying, like, we were pretty confident. That
it's the Pemetrexed.
That's Pemetrexed, the infusion. It's not the oral chemo Lorbrena. And she told me, she was like, I told her, I was like, we think it's the infusion. She's like, well, if your neck feels stable, keep taking. She's like, if your neck feels stable, then stop taking the drug. And me and my brother and Liv were like, how am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any scans.
If your neck feels stable.
It's been like 5-6 weeks since I had my scan. How am I supposed to know? Like, I can palpate stuff, but I ain't know.
What's internal up in there?
I ain't like Jesus. I can like feel what's going on now. So I was like, I'm gonna fucking keep taking this shit. Yeah, like I ain't taking the risk.
Think about picture this, audience, listeners. Like you're taking a drug, a pill that is targeting. We did this last time. Yeah. The Lorbrena says, honey, you're not even getting to the nuclei, right? Mm-hmm. This is so targeted to the ALK, the ALK gene that has cancer attached to it, right? This is so specific. Yeah. This is what's going to make or break and hopefully completely turn around Ribu's cancer, right? Daily, you take this pill. A specialized, highly rated doctor looks at Ribu because Ribu is like, my levels are high. Mm-hmm. What do I do? And for her to text you and say, if your neck feels stable, stop taking it. Like, think about that.
Like, what's medically?
Think about the fact that some specialist is texting you that with nothing else. And I always think like if you weren't medical based or Ruben wasn't medical based, you would stop taking that.
If Ruben wasn't like
the doctor
researching as much as he
tells you to stop, so you stop. And that is what's holding your cancer back. Yeah. Like if you stopped taking it until we have an appointment scheduled for next week, that's like a couple of weeks. Lord knows what could happen with that. So it's baffling. It's alarming. It's disappointing. It's unfortunate that it seems very common. Yeah. This is like, wasn't as surprising as we thought because we were like, yeah, of course you would freaking say that. Like, so I'm proud of Ruben. I'm proud of Ribu for being like, fuck that. I'm not going to stop taking this thing. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, and I'll tell you this, like, if you're going to, like, I don't say it every episode, but I said it before. You may not be going through any health issues, which is great.
Yeah, 100%.
But there's going to be a point in your life where someone you care about or yourself will go through health issues. Don't wait till it happens to find what your insurance is, who your provider is.
Yeah.
What like find a PCP, get your fucking medical checkup.
Yeah.
Like every year, get labs, and go to good people like my brother. If you're around that area, Sunnyvale, Texas, even if you're not, you want to drive, go to a good provider.
Does he do telehealth visits?
I don't know, but fucking find out. Find your insurance provider, get your family set up on good insurance, pay the extra for your insurance. Yeah. Don't be fucking cheap. Cause I know I was, you know what I mean? In the beginning, cause I was like, well, I'm not gonna get sick.
Yeah.
Like pay for it if you think you need it.
Yeah.
And find good providers, get your labs done. You know what I mean? Like,
and I would say I'd like to add to that is when you do get that meeting with your doctor, unfortunately, this is just from our experience. I would not trust them.
Yeah.
And what they say is not Bible. Like you have to know that. Like especially when it comes to things like this, where it's, life or death cancer stuff. If you have a throat ache and they're like, take some shit and like whatever, that's different. But when it's like serious medical stuff, or when your parents are going through serious medical stuff, or your child is going through serious medical stuff, I am taking the approach now. I was just telling my mom this the other day, like, where it's unfortunate, but I'm trusting no doctor until they prove they earn my trust.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to go about it, because clearly, and this is from a world-renowned institution, this is a world-renowned doctor. And so you can say, if they don't have it together,
yeah.
If she's telling you this via text to stop taking a life-saving, cancer-stopping pill.
This is the best hospital. We literally walked by #1 ranked hospital
we walked by the
nation.
other day. It's like #1 in the nation, and it's everywhere because, they have to uphold that, right? If they're fucking up, like, you just have to know that it's more common than not.
Yeah.
So, like, with Julian stuff that, I trust nobody. I would only trust Ruben, but like I trust nobody. And if anybody's going through stuff and you feel like you don't want to ask them, or you don't want to get a second opinion, or you don't want to come across rude, or you don't want to come across that you're bothering them. Ribu messages his doctors probably daily because they're so unorganized. This is another full-time job Ruben is taking on, with keeping everybody and their shit together. And you have to remember
too, like, these doctors are under, like, just to play devil advocate, are under extreme pressure too, right? Like, they have to meet certain quotas in terms of how their productivity 100%. Looks and how this looks, and they have their personal lives and how many texts they get from people. So yes, like, they're going through a lot too. And that's why we're saying, like, they could be a top-rated doctor, just like mine is. And she is smart. She's brilliant. She's knowledgeable. She's done good things. Don't get me wrong. Like,
100%.
It's not like she sucks or anything like that. But she could, like, her not being thorough on my case could have cost me something, right?
Yeah.
And that's not because she's bad. That's just probably because of the way the system's set up.
Right.
That's why I'm saying, like, you can have great doctors. You can have great doctors, but just because of the nature of the way healthcare is set up, like, it's going to be tough. You got to look out for yourself. You have to ask questions. You have to, you're your own best advocate.
Yeah. You have to advocate.
And on top of that, like, if you're healthy and you don't have anything and you're overweight, take care of your fucking self. Like, like, you don't have to do stupid shit because you're 30 and you're fine. There's going to be a moment when you're 50. And if you don't change your habits as soon as you can, it gets worse. Right. Yeah. And so, like, if you're not working out, if you're not exercising, if you're not doing the right things, if you're not watching what you're eating, I know we're not all perfect, but, like, start fucking doing that shit. Yeah. Like, you can get diagnosed with cancer at any moment.
Yeah. It's crazy. We went the other day, or a couple weeks ago, when we went to MD Anderson, and there were, like, I always say, we're the youngest couple walking around MD Anderson. It's a bunch of old bald people and their spouse. And when we went, I saw a lot of young couples.
There was a lot of young couples.
Like, and they looked like surprised. Deer in the headlights, because I was like, "You're new, aren't you?" Like, it was one of those, like, they were scared shitless.
Like, even across from us, sitting at so many waiting rooms, is like I'm surprised about how many. And we kind of all look at each other. Yeah. Because we're kind of like, oh, wait, you're here too.
Yeah. It's a weird thing, but I couldn't agree more. And I think it's like, well, you're not going to impart change on this friggin' medical system, right? This fucked up system. But what you can change is how you advocate for yourself.
And we'll say this, me and my parents, and we were talking about this last time, like, you go into MD Anderson, it's all pretty much cancer patients, right?
Yeah.
But when you go out into the world, you rarely come across somebody who has cancer.
Right.
Like, think about that, right? Like, you have a hospital. It's just one hospital out of everything in the world that's full of, like, how many cancer patients are there at these hospitals?
Yeah.
It's crowded. I'm in long lines.
Oh, it's crowded.
6 a.m.
Parking, like.
I remember 6 a.m. I'll go to get labs. I have to get labs, usually scheduled every morning whenever I go to Houston, 6 o'clock. Yeah. And it's a packed waiting room. And I'm like, every time I go, I'm like, this is crazy. This is, and they're all different shapes and ages. My age, younger than me, older than me, wheelchair, not wheelchair, some young people in wheelchairs, bald, not bald. And you're like, these are all patients with cancer.
Yeah.
But then when you walk out into a normal space, they're not there. So what I'm
really
saying is like it's more prevalent than you think.
Right.
And if you don't think it can happen
I think
to you,
that's the thing I gathered too because I think when growing up you hear like the C word,
yeah,
and it's so stigmatized as something that is it's so bad and it's so scary and it means death. Like the C word means the D word. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's this correlation to an automatic like death sentence, which I think probably like, you know, decades ago without, you know, advances, it probably was more correlated to that. Right. But what I have noticed with seeing everybody there in different levels of where they are within their cancer is it's almost, you kind of get this thing of like, this is really common. Yeah. And so it like flips your brain in some weird way of like, wait, but this is common. And there's typically treatment for it. I'm not saying like that it's a good thing to get cancer, but it destigmatizes it a little bit when you see how many people have cancer and who are just like going in for treatment. It's still scary and you still don't want it, but it was such a different experience the last time we went because it just like did something in my brain where it used to be just so scary. Yeah. And you don't talk about it and you don't pray that, you know, all of that stuff. And then when you get it, and like I saw a lady who was looking rough. She was like bald, wheelchair, whatever. And her daughter, who was, you know, probably 40 plus, was with her. And I overheard her. She's like, what do you want to get for lunch after this? And it's just like a part of their life. Yeah. And it was very weird. Mm-hmm. It's really surreal. Yeah. It's a weird, I mean, when you're at MD Anderson, like it's so easy just to go about and go to your visits. Yeah. But there's so many times where you're stuck in waiting rooms for lengthy periods of times. Or if you're not in the waiting room, you're in the second part waiting for something to come up, right? Like they're putting an IV in you. So you're waiting for the next person to be done, whatever. And you're just surrounded by people and you can't help but feel like you guys are in a group together. Yeah. You just see it. And I can't say it enough. Like you go out into the world and there's literally, you can go days without meeting anyone with cancer. Yeah. It's so much more, or we don't know if they do, right? Right. So much prevalent. Yeah. Or you come back home, back to reality and you're the only one with cancer. Yeah. 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 You know, I think like, I think I just thought of another peak too, but like this whole thing with this cancer situation has been so weird. But in terms of like how it's been doing with work, I can't be more thankful enough for the people I work with first off. And so supportive. How supportive they are. And from Michelle to Nikki to Dee to everyone at work to Patrick, everyone, right? How supportive they've been. But I've got this job in such the weirdest way. Yeah. Right. And it's like, you know, I had to become a PT to get this job, obviously, but I went to Morningside and I randomly knew this person who told me to submit an application. I just did it for the shit of it. And I got the job, which is a weird way of getting the job, but it's home health and hospice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right? And the reason this is a peak is because, you know, it was such a weird way I got this job, but I didn't know anything about hospice. I knew a lot about home health because that's all I did. Sure. And obviously on the hospice side, you think of hospice and you think of, it's like patients are going to die. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that. Yeah. Patients come off of hospice all the time too. Mm-hmm. But one thing I didn't recognize when I took this job was like, you'll get, you know, patients who want to be admitted to hospice or, you know, need to be admitted to hospice under the cancer diagnosis, right? Yeah. Patients who are, you know, probably going to pass away pretty soon or in the next year or so. And I sometimes look at their charts because they're admitting into hospice and you'll see, like the other day I was reading one and it was like, it looked like my history. Yeah. Right. She's like, spread here. Yeah. This. And it's like, you know. And how does that, like when you first see it, are you like, oof, does it scare you or are you feeling more just empathetic towards them? No, I think so this is weird. I don't mean this in a weird way, but like, so I read it and it made me understand why I felt like God gave me this job. Yeah. Like, why do I have this cancer?
And I never pictured myself doing hospice. I had no interest in it.
Right.
Never pictured myself in this position I'm in. But I'm sitting here on a Tuesday reading the chart of someone who we're about to admit. And I couldn't help but think, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Like the chart that I was reading was from a place I've been marketing for 4 months, right? Didn't expect any patients. And they sent us one, and she was like, this patient really needs help. So we looked at it. She was appropriate. I read the chart, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go visit this patient.
Yeah.
You know, so
you were called to do that.
Yeah. And I felt like I was like, I need to visit this patient. This has nothing to do with me, but I saw the patient, and I was able to talk about what I'm going through.
You shared your story.
And it wasn't like a marketing. It just felt like in my head, I'm like, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what God has planned for us or me, but I was like, man, in this moment, at this time, I was like, this is probably why I have cancer.
Yeah.
Like, is this why?
It's like a little bit of a purpose.
Yeah. Like
you're turning it into your purpose.
Yeah. It felt like, I was like, this is way too coincidental to be at this point.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes, like when we talk, like the only time we really get to talk uninterrupted without Gigi at work and everything is when we drive to MD Anderson. 3.5 hour drive, just me and you. But I remember having that conversation of like, this has to be for something more.
Yeah.
Like being so young with you having this rare form of cancer that has spread into and everything is so damn rare.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing has been, oh yeah, that's common. Or like, a breast cancer, there's a ton of protocols for treatment. Right. Nothing has been easy or
not a lot of research in my cancer.
No research. It's so rare. Your fusion is rare. All of that stuff. How you feeling is rare. Like in terms of you feeling generally pretty good. Like you can't help but think there has to be a reason, or there has to be something bigger, and this has to be a gift almost of defining your purpose.
Yeah. At this point, like up to everything that has happened right now, like doing this podcast, being able to talk about it, even being able to see that one patient and talk to her about my thing, and even sometimes it comes up in conversations when I go marketing, and I feel so bad because I'm not trying to use it as marketing, but it's just like, I'm just talking to people. And they'll bring up like certain aspects that, like, for instance, I had a marketing meeting with a social worker she's real cool. And we were just talking, and she brought up the fact that her mom works at the Start Center for Cancer.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything. I was like, oh, cool. And she was like, she's the leading nurse there, and she leads all the clinical trials for every single, drug.
Right.
And her doctor, has this in in thyroid cancers or whatever. Yeah. And she's like, my husband also takes very rare drugs, very rare cancers that are biopsied, like the tumor I took out. They take the specific genes out and put it into mice. And they have pharmacists, like they tried different pharmaceutical drugs to see what can target that specific gene. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
yeah, just from a simple exchange with this
out
conversation.
Of all of San Antonio, you're telling me I walked into one person whose mother
does
research. This whole thing. Yeah. So I was like, of course I have to ask, like, I have this cancer, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
So she's like, this lady, who I'm marketing to, is the sweetest person. She's like, yeah, talk to my mom. So I call her mom. Her mom's like, come by.
Yeah.
And me and her mom have like a 2-hour conversation where she's tearing up and I'm tearing up, and she's like, I'm going to help you in any way we can get help.
Yeah.
And so
that's God. That's just God, like that's just,
I'm like, what are the chances, like getting this job to get to the point, meeting these hospice patients, and then meeting.
Timing, coincidental.
What are the chances like all this happens?
Yeah. And I think what we're realizing is like, we're not going to waste these opportunities or these like serendipitous things. Like you have to respect that's and recognize, I think, that it's happening.
Yeah.
And I think it's like one thing, you just don't take it for granted anymore.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, it's so miraculous sometimes.
Yeah.
It really is, like, with everything that's happened. And like, I also think too, because when you first got diagnosed, if people we didn't like, which is so bad, like people, like maybe the Starbucks barista was like, had a bunch of attitude or whatever. And I remember we would always be like, man, why don't you have cancer? Or like if somebody else was like, like, man, why can't you get cancer or whatever? And I feel like now it's like, no, I think you were the perfect, I know it sounds weird, but it's like the perfect person to get cancer.
Thank you.
But do you know what I
Sure,
mean?
yeah.
Like with your family, and then like how organized you are, and then you have background, and then now you can turn it into something with your work, and you can use it as a gift and like just your purpose.
I think one thing like with all this is like, I mean, we're all capable of achieving so much more than we even think.
Yeah.
We wake up every morning, we just go to work and we come back home and we all have these goals of being great.
Yeah.
But you can be great today. Like you like we think the present time is not enough, and then we get 10 years, we're like, where did time go?
Yeah.
And it's like you can accomplish so much more in one day.
Yeah.
By just thinking about what you want and taking small steps for it. And for those who think like the only reason like opportunities come is if you try and you push open the door for it.
Right.
So I think like if I'm doing this with cancer, with chemo, and I'm not even like I said, I had MD Anderson. Some of these patients are so much worse than I am. And if I can do this with this going on, you motherfuckers that are healthy,
you can do it.
That have time, can do 10 times more than I'm doing.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So like,
yeah, it's all perspective.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. We keep talking about healthcare issues. Somebody take the opportunity.
I know. Seriously.
If you're there, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's just such an inadvertent gift that I think, like you were saying, you're taking that opportunity. You need to take it, and you need to recognize that it is what it is versus wallowing and pitying yourself and still being like, how did this happen? It's like it's something that's kind of beautiful that came out of it, or that is coming out of it.
Yeah. You know how many times like it's you have to be empathetic too. Like we'll get calls or somebody calls in to work or somebody in previous job. I'm not saying this job, but like just anytime. Like, and you're like, you're just what do you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know.
That's what I was
like,
saying.
It's hard. You got to be empathetic.
Well, and it's hard because now you're kind of like at this leveled up place now because you have this perspective. You're changing, and you have a lot of experience that a lot of 30-something-year-olds don't have, fortunately, right? Like they didn't have to fight. They don't have to make hard decisions. They don't have to have conversations with their wife about like you possibly dying, like what we're going to do, what I'm going to do with Juji, all of that stuff. You don't have to set up your funds. They don't have to talk about it, and they don't have to live it and experience it. So I find like a lot of times we as a couple, and then specifically you, are at a different place, literally, because we are like, who else do we know who's going through this as a couple, right? Yeah. And individually. So you're at this like elevated, high functioning, leveled up place. And then you get somebody who calls in because they don't feel like working.
Yeah.
Or, you get somebody who's complaining because, I don't know, the world's against them. And it's really hard to empathize with that. But,
Like, let me tell you an example. Sorry. There's this other place I'm working at where the social worker there has been a dick to me.
Yeah.
Like and I've been nice as fuck. Like you're marketing, so you're trying to be nice, but been a dick, a major dick. Right. And so I'm getting my liver enzymes checked. It's the second time, and I'm hoping and I'm praying. Like I'm just getting labs drawn, and I'm walking out, and I'm hoping and praying that those lab results are good. So I get in my car, and I'm like, I need to call her, and I don't want to call her, but I want to follow up and see how we did with the patient. So I call her, and so remember, I'm already like in not a good mood and like hoping my lab results come back good. Mm-hmm. So I call her, and I'm like, hey, just calling to check in and see how we did, just not like the first patient we got, checking in as the executive director who never, listen, people in my position don't fucking call.
They don't call and check.
Are not social workers and see how
they don't
it's
talk
usually
to
a marketer doing that.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, just calling in as like, whatever, just see how we did. She's like, I don't have time for you right now. She's like, call me at some other time. Hangs up on me.
Babe,
Ooh, I was in the car and I was like, there were so many things I wanted to say. I wanted to do. I wanted to be like, you don't fucking even know, bitch.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll fucking come to your front door, bitch. You know what I mean? I wanted to be like, where do you live? Give me an address. I mean, obviously can't do that. But I was like, frustrating. In those moments, I'm like, how do you have empathy for somebody?
Right.
Like, how do you, why aren't just people just straight up not like,
just be nice, just be
kind.
You just, it literally is like, you never know what somebody else is going through. So
this place has already been racist to me before.
Nice.
Too, so,
yeah. And that's just like they're just different. And I think that's one of those things is like, it's so much harder because it's so much more obvious.
Yeah.
When you're going through what you're going through, when people are idiots and mean and rude. But yeah, I remember when you told me that, I was like, what's her fucking number? I'm gonna call her back right now. Don't ever let me find her.
10 things I could do to ruin, ruin your job. Yeah. Ruin where you work. Like, I was like, I had to take I had like 10 text messages typed out to her and I just deleted each one.
Yeah. Cause you're the bigger person and yeah.
And I was like, pushing. What? Whatever. I just don't have to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to keep going.
I know. It's crazy. Like just lessons,
Yeah. I was about to do like a sup, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, shoot.
I'm about to call her.
Yeah, so for real.
Mad.
Anyways.
No, we talked to my baby like that.
Yeah, but that's my peak pit.
Anyways, okay, let's wrap up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did my pit, but I don't really have one. So we'll catch y'all next week.
Okay.
Because we're already at over an hour. So we hope you've been well.
We didn't expect to go that long.
Yeah. Sorry. This was just short and sweet, but it is what it is. So don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, like and subscribe on YouTube. We're really trying to grow on YouTube. Let me know or let us know in the comments, like, do you watch these or do you prefer to listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts? Good one. Like, let us know if you're liking the video formatting. And yeah, y'all have a great week, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye. We interrupt the podcast for today's sponsor. Hey, podcast fam, it's time to level up your work from home game. Introducing ErgoSpace Store, your go-to destination for ergonomic office chairs that blend comfort and style. Whether you're a remote worker or creative genius, their Duo 5 black frame chair is a game changer.
Experience the perfect balance of support and relaxation. Head over to ergospacestore.com, browse their collection, and create your dream office setup. Your back and my back deserve the best, and Ergo Space Store delivers. Elevate your work experience today. Use the code CWordChronicles for $50 off your order.